What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the show. Jordan Budd here, your host, and I'm flying solo on this episode. And we're going to cover some listener questions that we've got through Instagram. And we've also had a couple of questions through the website that we'll cover. Actually, it looks like just one website one question through the website we'll cover. That's at jordan.bud on Instagram. And it's jordan-bud.com. And that will get you to like all of our most recent content as far as like video work, latest podcasts, all that you can find at jordan-bud.com. And then there's a couple different ways that you could ask questions if you want. You can send them in via like a message question, or you can send like a voicemail question. And the cool thing about the voicemails is then we can play it back live on air and then answer it. I don't know. It's a little more interactive. I've had a few people do it, but not really too many. Most people just want to do written message, which is cool. It is, as I write this, or as I'm recording this, and this will launch the same day, so March 11th. And you could tell that it's spring season here. I'm in Nebraska currently, helping out with the ranch, getting ready for turkey season coming up the end of March and into April. And you could tell it's spring seasons because my allergies are killing me. And it's crazy. I'm not sure how your weather is, where you're at, but here a year ago, it was absolutely the polar opposite. We had snow, tons of wind. It had been a really, really hard winter. And it's totally the opposite this year, which is kind of crazy. So, yeah, with that, so I've got March 11th is also when Turkey Week launches for Meateater, First Lite, DSD, FHF, Phelps game calls. So every one of those things applies to turkey season in some shape or form. And so Turkey Week's going on. It'll be going on all week. There'll be free shipping all week. There's going to be bundle deals and free items with certain purchases. You've got Phelps has all your calls, and my favorite ones are just like the Meateater. There's like a 3-pack of diaphragm calls that I use. I've got just his very basic slate call, which I like quite a bit, and then a crow call. And those three things will get me through the whole season for turkeys. And we have Merriam's here, purebred Merriam's here in Nebraska on the ranch that we guide for. So that's what I've been using here for these birds. And then DSD decoys, they make some of the most realistic decoys just in the industry. And they're like hand painted. There's lots of different configurations you can get and different bundle deals as well. So go check those guys out at DSD. And then First Lite clothing. I've talked about it a bunch in some of my favorite pieces. I mean, I focus on Western big game mostly. In my mind, turkeys do not encompass that. Western big game. But those pieces that I use for Western big game, they just roll right over into turkey season. So some of the most favorite ones that I've had, the new 308 pants coming out, that is going to be a great pant to get a hold of for the spring seasons. And you could just keep visiting First Lite for release info on that. And then a vest I'll talk about real quick that I've been using for like outdoor chores, calving season. I wear it over a sweatshirt all the time. It's the Tempest vest. So it's an insulated, windproof shell, like waterproof shell vest, which is just a really good, like, not only for out in like bear seasons, turkey seasons, just Western hunting stuff in general, but also just kind of your everyday running around. You want to keep your core warm. It's been a nice vest for me. So we've got that. Gosh, what else? Just through Meateater, there's going to be logo wear deals going on. And yeah, just go visit the site. Oh, quickly, FHF gear, they just came out. I talked about it a little bit, but I've got to use it and I absolutely love it. So it is what they're calling their battle belt. I got the lumbar pack with the battle belt, as well as the seat, a seat that folds up and folds down. It's pretty thick foam. It's really seems to be very comfy, and I've been using it for hunting coyotes here in this winter, and then through the spring as we go through calving season. I usually try to crack down on coyotes pretty good, so that's what I've been using as my coyote setup. I also have that hydration pack that can clip right into your bino harness, or it can clip right into their chest pack, which their chest pack is where I keep all my turkey hunting stuff. So they make it has Velcro on the inside, and then they have Velcro products that can stick into that Velcro wherever you want. So you can organize things however you want. So I have a diaphragm call holder. It's got all my diaphragms in it. I have a pot call holder that's got my slate in it. And then there's like a little bino attachment as well, like a little bino sleeve that can stick in there. I'm usually running like the SIG image stabilizing 10 powers for turkey season. I really like those just because they're super, super small. They stabilize really, the stabilization's out of this world. And yeah, so I think this year I'm going to clip that hydration pack into my chest pack. And then if I want to, I can keep the battle belt on with the seat, which I'll probably do. We'll see. Like, we're not really moving too far with our turkeys. We do a lot of if we're going to move very far, we're getting in the pickup and moving. So if we're doing that a lot, that's why I haven't really gotten along with a vest very well. Like a full-on turkey vest is just taking it off, putting it back on. Just we're in and out of the vehicle so much, it seems like. So I'm excited for this kind of lumbar / backpack, just a modular system that you can move around. And then having that seat is going to be really nice. I feel like I don't have to take a chair with me. So yeah, that's what I've got to say about that. All right, rolling into the questions through Instagram. Does working in the outdoor industry change how you feel when you're outside for fun? No. I feel like it doesn't, because I like to capture what I do, like through filming or, your content or whatever. I'm doing that stuff anyways. Like, I don't, and this goes for Leah as well, just like us together going out and doing stuff. And me personally, I don't go out hunting to get content. I get content because I'm out hunting, if that makes any sense. There's a lot of times I'm going out and doing stuff and I'm not filming it. I'm not taking pictures, which even though I should be, I like gathering. I hope that when we're out taking pictures and we're gathering up some content and things, it's like it helps people in some way, whether that's just motivation to get out and get off the couch and do something else, or if that's, I really like the gear stuff, so I'm always kind of gear centric on what I'm taking pictures of and what I'm posting, because that's what I like. Like, I like looking at companies' Instagram pages, scrolling through their Instagram pages and listening to them talk through their gear, because it's interesting to me of how they've configured something, or the materials that they've used and why they've used them, and different ways of doing things. That stuff interests me, so automatically that's just what I like to put out as well, because it's what interests me. But we also like to keep the what would you call it, the entertainment factor up as much as I can, even though I'm not like a super entertainer. So outdoor industry change how you feel when you're outside for fun. No, it doesn't. I mean, there are some times that, because of, at the end of the day, it is my job. To some extent, I have contracts that have fulfillments that needs to be met. So yeah, sometimes when it's been a hard hunt or something like that, or something's really hard to film, like, do I always love to have to take the extra little time to film something or to take pictures of something? Like, no, that's not always super fun. Like, would I rather be doing that than sitting in an office? Like, obviously, absolutely. Does everything at some point kind of turn into work, or you don't 100% enjoy every single minute of it? Like, yes. So, but no, like, the outdoor industry has not tainted the way that I look at going and being outdoors, because I'm going to be doing outdoor stuff anyway, whether Instagram goes away tomorrow or things just change or whatever. Like, I'm always going to be out. We're always going to be hunting and trying to hunt as much as we can and being out in the field. So I don't know if that 100% answers it, but dang, sorry. The allergies are just ripping me apart. So, all right. Headed to Nunavak Island with a friend for muskox, January 2025. Any thoughts on gear? Yeah. Obviously warm stuff and waterproof stuff. My biggest deal is you just got to go find somebody who's done that. And there are quite a few people that have done it. If that muskox hunt is how I've heard other people talk about muskox hunts, it's a lot of just being real cold. So, sorry I can't answer that more for you. But just do some surfing around. Look at YouTube videos that people have done. Reach out to those people and ask them. And then, of course, like, rely on... Another thing you could do, too, I'm sure that this probably has to be guided, but if it's not... go on to other outfitters' websites and guides' websites, and usually, or sometimes they have a gear list that they publish on their website for their own clients, but it's something that you can kind of use too. The podcast is brought to you in part by First Lite technical clothing, keeping me dry and comfortable from the duck blind to the backcountry. Check out all of their offerings at firstlite.com. Sig Sauer, from the popular cross rifle, which I love, to everything optics, handguns, ammunition, and accessories. Visit sigsauer.com for their full lineup. And Onyx Hunt Maps. I use Onyx Maps to plan and execute my own hunts, plus keep everything organized and accounted for at the outfit. I'm always scouting with the app. Check them out at onyxhunt.com. All right. Next question. Favorite backcountry hot snack when morale is low on a cold hunt? For me, we didn't do it really at all this last year, but, the noodles, ramen noodles. Those are really nice. They don't stick around very long, it seems like. Doesn't seem like they're super filling, but, at the time, that's really nice. And honestly, on a cold hunt, a great way to kick your morale up, besides just like a hot meal or something, is a tent with a stove in it. So like a wood stove. I really like and used this last year, or for the last 2 years, we've been using the Argali, the 4-person, the Absorica, and I throw a stove in that this last October when I was hunting. That'll be a Meateater film, hopefully coming out soon. But that is a great way. If you can, like on that hunt, especially when I was lighting the stove in the middle of the day, it was like cold, really wet. It had snowed, really wet snow. And it was just wet, really cold. I was socked in most of the time. So I went back to the tent, fired that thing up, was able to dry some stuff out and just kind of get a second wind. So, okay. what do you look for in timing spring bear hunts in the mountains? I'm not a big spring bear person. I've never ever claimed to be. I've done it a little bit though. I've filmed quite a few of them throughout the years with people. The big thing on timing you need to look at is where you're going, like especially what elevation and what roads you need to access to get into some of those areas. This is all logistics, but there was a spot that we went and spring bear hunted last year that the road ended up opening like 2 weeks late because of this. There was so much snow and they had some avalanche slides. They were trying to get all that stuff cleared out. So there really wasn't even access into the area until literally the week before we were going to go hunt. The main road was open, but the side roads and stuff they were pretty snowed in. The trails were just like a wreck, and it was just really hard getting around. I've heard from a few other people that last spring season was kind of weird for them as well in the Idaho area, specifically, but that is what I would say, like, looking at logistical wise, make sure your roads are going to be open. You can like get on Snowtel and look at snowpack in certain areas. I think for the most part, this was a pretty mild winter, so I don't think we're going to have late opening roads this year, but you never know. Definitely something to dive into there. Okay, next question. Best backcountry sleeping bag. So the best one that I found is the Badger bag from Western Mountaineering. It is a down bag. The Badger is, I think it's a 15 degree. Mine has some overfill in it. I actually purchased mine used on Rockslide. Mine has some overfill in it, so it gets me more down to that 5 degree range. I also we got Leah one as well, so she has the Antelope bag from Western Mountaineering, and that's a 5 degree, just as it is. Both of them are down bags. They're the most awesome bag that I've found. They are expensive, like real expensive. That is why they're so good. You definitely get what you pay for. As far as when it comes to sleeping bags, and if you're going to be in like cold weather at all, it is totally worth it. But yeah, Western Mountaineering bags are awesome. There's some other ones like some quilts that I've tried. Well, a quilt that I've tried that I really liked is from Enlightened Equipment. So that's another good one. There's like Nemo makes some pretty good bags, but they also make some very budget friendly bags. They have kind of a wide range of products that you can look at. But yeah, Western Mountaineering, awesome backcountry bags. Okay, let's go. Do you have any experience with the new 7 PRC? I have a 7 PRC on the way currently from SIG. It's a SIG Cross. They're calling it their Sawtooth. So it's going to be available with carbon fiber barrels in 7 PRC and 300 PRC. I am really intrigued by the 7 PRC. I think for like stepping up to an elk cartridge, or if you're just looking to shoot way far, like on a mule deer, like sometimes, mule deer are pretty resilient, tough things. So that really intrigues me. I like, sometimes I've had good luck with this 6.5 Creedmoor. And I'm shooting, for the most part with the Creedmoor, I've shot 400 yards and in on all the deer that we've shot with it. And I like that. Like, I just haven't had the issues with the cartridge. If you're a super gun nut, you probably don't like this 6.5 Creedmoor. It's pretty slow for a 6.5. I would really like to bump up to a 6.5 PRC now that the Cross is in a long action. I'm expecting that some of those barrels are going to be starting to come available for the 6.5 PRC. I would rather shoot that over the Creedmoor, but just due to me shooting the Sig Cross, as I've just been kind of limited on availability of, barrels and just things that can be used with that. But with that being said, I'm super pumped about the 7PRC. I used to film, do the TV production for 4 years for a long-range hunting company. And, those guys, at the time, the PRCs weren't out, but at least early on when I was filming, they weren't out. But, they were selling 300 Win Mags, 7 millimeter Win Mags, and 6.5 284s, which is 6.5 284 is basically like a 6.5 PRC. Those were the 3 that they were selling the most of by far. And one of the reasons they always tried to get people to come down to a 7 instead of, like a 300 Win Mag, was because of tracking your shot. So if you can get, a 7 millimeter is going to be I feel like that's a really good middle ground. 300 Win Mags, they do just kick the hell out of you. And a 7 won't do that as much, so you can track your shot a little bit more. I have my thoughts on it. And, I do really like the 7PRC, I guess, to really answer the question. But this is good. If you go to Shoot to Hunt, Shoot the number 2 Hunt, that is a podcast that Ryan Avery has been doing. They go deep into cartridges and shooting and bullets and all this stuff. They are who I listen to. So you should go listen to them. And yeah, I'm just I'm not a super gun and cartridge nut. In the end, I think practice behind your rifle and being able to shoot it well and just and accuracy too. It all plays into each other. There's different ways that obviously you can configure things with. You can run different cartridges. You can run different bullet weights within those cartridges. There's all these things going on. I probably focus more on shooting, practice, being able to be accurate. And there's just, I feel like a lot of guns that you buy these days, doesn't matter who they're from, they're all pretty accurate. You listen to people talk about all the time, big gun nuts will mention the difference between your custom rifles now and the rifles that you're getting off the shelf. There's not as much as a difference as there used to be. So if you can get a rifle and you can find a bullet that it shoots well and you practice a lot, I would put a lot more energy into that than cartridge selection just in general. But this is a rant that I just apparently decided to go on. But that's a Shoot to Hunt podcast. They do some videos as well. And those guys know what they're talking about. So if you're super interested in it, go talk to them because they know more than me for sure. Okay, next question. Have you ever had the thought of I'm never hunting again during hunts? I've never had the thought of I'm never hunting again. I've had the thought of I'm never doing this again, whatever that is, whether it's some kind of a crazy, I don't want to say death march, but it's some kind of a crazy march on the way back. It was way further than I thought it was going to be, just kind of the suck fest. That usually happens during that time. Then when I get out, it makes great stories, and then you say, oh, that wasn't that bad. But no, there might be some hunts or hunt styles that I might be I tried it and that's not for me. I'm not going to do that again. But I don't think I've ever had a time where I was I'm not hunting again. Next question. What got you into hunting? Basically this ranch that I'm on right now. I was very fortunate to have access to a ranch that has whitetail, mule deer, turkeys, coyotes. Now we have elk, which is fun. And then my dad, of course, getting me into getting me into shooting, getting me into hunting, and then just really kind of giving me the reins and just letting me go. And it's something that I wanted to do too. Like, you know, I just, it's something that you really can't explain. It's either like you've got that bug and you want to figure it out, and it doesn't matter where you're at. If you really want to do it, you're going to figure it out. I just kind of got that bug. So, but it's pretty, I mean, my story is pretty much like a lot of people's. You know, their dad got them into it. Their grandpa got them into it. My grandpa passed away before I was born, both of them. So I never really had a grandpa growing up. But anyways, yeah, my dad got me into it, and just like, you know, other people being around, we leased our place for outfitting, and I would be around those guys that were guiding people, and, you know, it's kind of a, you know, a generic story of, you know, hunting, starting to grow up hunting, I guess. Okay. This fella says, I think fella, sorry if you're not. I just ordered my first deer tag ever. I'm assuming that means you booked your first hunt. What are your must-haves for a first whitetail hunt? The first one is some kind of a good safety harness. I like the Muddies. There's other companies that make good ones. Hunter Safety Systems has been around forever. But one of those for sure. I mean, really warm clothes, and make sure that when you're all bundled up, you can draw back well. I guess a one good one is like a rangefinder. Make sure you have a rangefinder. Don't just assume that you can guess the ranges. It's good to be able to do that, but have a rangefinder. I mean, good Lord, it just increases accuracy. And for these short shots, like 50 and in, for whitetails, for most places that you're like in a tree stand in wooded areas, you can get by with a pretty cheap rangefinder. So those are a few of my must-haves. Next question. Do you have any recommendations on a taxidermist in Idaho? Yes. I didn't read these before now, so these are kind of fun. Yes, I do. Hunter's Choice Taxidermy in Nampa, Idaho. RJ, he's done a lot of stuff for me now, but he did my life-size sheep mount, and literally I just kind of gave him an idea of what I wanted, and he's like, oh, I got it. And he did an awesome, awesome job. So Hunter's Choice out of Nampa, Idaho. Very awesome set of people there. Okay. Next question from Kayla Bingham. We are going on our first DIY turkey hunt. Have you turkey hunted? And tips for self-filming as well. Yeah, I have turkey hunted. I've guided them a lot. I think I said a little bit at the beginning of this, they're not my super favorite, but I do get to be around them a lot for guiding, and then yeah, I've turkey hunted myself also. Tips for self-filming as well. So for turkeys, like depending on what style you're doing, if you're going to be in a blind, like make sure you have a tripod. Blinds are a great place to incorporate GoPros because you can, have them in different places for different points of view. But yeah, self-filming is one of those things, like I can kind of guide you as far as gear goes and how I have the camera set up as far as what lens is on what. I'm running an A7S III for the most part. I've usually got that on either 24-70 or a 16-35 lens. I also have a 70-200 millimeter lens, which is it's a long lens. I feel like that's kind of long for like an archery turkey hunt or a shotgun. Like if you're bringing them in real close, that 24-70 is a little better range. I've also got an A7 IV, and so my plans this year is to have like that A7 IV on the long lens, that 70-200, and then have the A7S III on probably that 16-35. I can do like some beauty shots and some talking and all that with that 16-35, and then just use the A7 IV for the longer lens, longer distance type shots. But there you're getting into 2 cameras. You got to have, at least have to have 1 tripod. So you got a lot going on there. And then the other thing I'd say, self-filming is like, have a good microphone. The Rode Micro is a pretty good microphone. It's little, doesn't take a battery, just plugs in your camera. It's just that's the cheapest option. Has pretty dang good sound, and it's the smallest and just kind of less hassle. I run a Rode Video Mic Plus, I think is what they call it, or Deluxe. Pretty sure it's the Video Mic Plus. And it has a rechargeable battery on board, so you do have to make sure that thing is recharged. The audio quality is better, I would say, than the Micro, but it's also quite a bit more expensive. So, but a couple of those things, because otherwise, like, if you end up putting a microphone, or you don't put any microphone on your camera, like, there's always going to be wind and it's just going to sound bad. There could be, spots you're trying to talk to the camera and the wind is just completely blowing it out and you can't fix it and it's a pain. So that answers that question. What's your favorite animal to hunt? And keep up the great podcasting. Thank you for listening. What's your favorite animal to hunt? So mule deer for sure. I would say really my favorite animal to hunt is a sheep, but I've just done it quite, not a lot compared to guides, but quite a bit compared to your average person. I really like sheep hunting. Mule deer is right next to it. I would say mule deer for sure. All right, next question. Are you a solids or a camo gal? I am both. I really like solid pants. I feel like you just get more bang for your buck in a solid pant. For the most part, the animal probably isn't even going to see your pants. Like if you're creeping up somewhere, you're probably not in 100% full view. I feel like a camo top is a little more important to just help break up that outline, whatever. Solid pants, I feel like you can get a lot more away with solid pants. So, kind of a both mix. Strategies for narrowing down areas to visit when scouting a new GMU or a new unit. Gosh, this could be a real long one, but I get the first thing I typically do before I even put in for a tag. You mentioned GMU. Colorado, I'm pretty sure, uses their GMUs. I'm going to a new set of units this year for second rifle, hopefully if I draw, down in Colorado. And before I even put in for that hunt, I was on Onyx, and I was just looking at the unit, like, what are my access points? What elevations am I looking at? What kind of road access am I going to have? That is really where you start, whether you've applied and you've drawn or whether you haven't applied yet. That's the first thing that I would do. But narrowing down areas, like, you just kind of got to look at what kind of a hunt, what type of a hunt you're going on. If you're getting ready to visit wind scouting. Sorry, I feel like I read that, but I missed it in my brain. So you got to look at what season you're going for, what you're scouting. So if you're going for, like I am, like a second, third season, you're dipping in basically your November hunts. For mule deer anyway, they are not going to be in the high country anymore, probably. As far as like above alpine high country, that feed has probably, for the most part, not burned literally, but it's died off. They're down into the trees. They've rubbed their velvet. They are probably staging up to be near does. So I'm going to be looking in that middle range, like below alpine, but still probably kind of in heavy trees, nasty cover. And then I'm also just looking for does as well, and just kind of seeing like where I think the rough, broken, fairly treed up, kind of secluded terrain is going to be. So that's one thing you really want to look for. If you're going scouting and you're going to hunt archery bucks, then yeah, they're going to be up in the high country above alpine. And you're just going to want to look at like good glassing points, good basins, like those southern facing slopes that might have the nice feed, that transition to like either have some kind of north facing stuff that they can get into the shade to bed, or have some north facing, like a full north face nearby, that they can bounce over into to bed. So there's just like a lot to unpack with this. If you listen to this and you want to like run more specific things by me, like by all means drop me a message and I can help you as much as I know how. But yeah, just get on Onyx, look at it in 3D, look at your access points, look at glassing points, look at stuff that you just think might be, deery or elky. And yeah, that's tough. But I think honestly the biggest thing with scouting is like drive all your roads instead of making like super detailed like plans that should be like kind of hunt plans. Just drive all the roads, look at all the terrain, verify your access points, maybe do a little hiking, see where trails go. Then you can kind of see if it's a really beat down trail, if you feel like a lot of people use it. When you're going to scout a new place, you just need to like really get an overview of the whole unit, and then you just things just kind of start falling into place after that. Okay, next question. This is with scopes. Do you prefer a first focal or a second focal for hunting? I'm kind of a traditionalist. I don't mind hunting with a second focal plane scope. Basically what that means is the best way to know if you have a first or a second focal plane scope is if you adjust the power and your reticle stays the same size through all the powers, you have a second focal plane. A first focal plane, your reticle is going to move in and out as you move powers. So as you go out in power, your reticle is going to get smaller. You could see why some people wouldn't like that. It's because they don't have their full reticle. Well, the deal with hunting with a first focal plane is if you have a reticle that has, which I feel like most first focal planes do, if you have a reticle that has like hash marks, like whether that's minutes or whatever, hash marks up or down, those will stay true as you move your powers. So if you need to hold 2 minutes for wind, that 2 minutes is going to be 2 minutes, like 2 hash marks over, whether you're at 5 power or whether you're at 20 power. Whereas a second focal plane, that 2 minutes, it might, those 2 hash marks are only going to be 2 minutes at a certain power, which is probably full power, is typically what it is. So that is only going to be 2 hash marks at 20 power. You back off to 10 power, that is going to double. So then you're going to actually be holding 4 hash marks for 2 minutes instead of 2 hash marks. So you can see where math is going to come in more, or could be a little more room for issues if you have a second focal plane. I have both. I have first focal planes, I have second focal planes. To be honest with you, I'm not shooting animals at long distances enough to feel like I need that first focal plane to cut down math, cut down time, just simplify things. So I don't mind hunting with a second focal plane. But basically those are the differences. So keep that in mind. Okay, let's see. Second to last question here. Do you tend to find big mule deer bucks bedding on south slopes or north facing slopes? I really like this question. I went way deep into this question a few times, talking to Robbie, talking to some other, like Travis, talking to other mule deer guys. A lot of times, like, basically you just look at what's going on with the sun on south facing slopes. In the early season, if it's really hot, that south facing slope is going to be cooking. And like, you don't want to be sitting over there in the sun either. You're going to want to get to shade. So at some point, the bucks are going to want to move to shade. Now, people will say, they feed on the south slopes, they bed on the north slopes. Yes, that could be correct. But the other thing is, you can have slopes like west facing slopes, or maybe like a southwest facing slope that is going somewhere on that slope, whether it's rocks that are creating it, or maybe there's some trees. That is going to create kind of a north slope, just in regards to which way that sun is, which way the shade is being thrown. So, in short, yes, north-facing slopes, because the sun is going to be hitting the south-facing, is going to throw a shadow to the north-facing side. It's going to be cooler. There's going to be more shade. They're going to want to be there in the middle of the day or whatever, because they don't want to be in the sun getting hot. They want to be in the shade where it's cool. North-facing slopes are going to be where that coolness and the shade is. But that doesn't mean that they can't get that shade and coolness on a different facing slope that might have a little cut that runs down it that creates a north slope, or, something that the shade is going to be casted off of and create shade. So it's almost like you could call it like a false north facing, or like a theoretical, that's what you could call it. You could call it like a theoretical north slope that is technically not on a huge, a big open, or a big north, what would you call that? East-west running ridge that the north face is all shaded. Like, yes, that is a north face. But you could also get that north facing, gosh, I'm trying to think of what to call it. You could get all the attributes that a north-facing slope has. You can get that on a different facing slope with a little cut running down it, or a little creek bottom or something like that, or a big rock formation that might throw shade to the north. That is like a theoretical north-facing thing that has the attributes of a north-facing slope. And I think for a deer, that means it's got shade, it's in a cooler place than out in the sun, and it's probably pretty close to where they're feeding, because typically the best feed is on some of the southern facing slopes. So I hope that made sense. That was a revelation that I came to one day. I was like, oh, I watched these deer go bed where technically it was in a big rock formation. They were getting shade from it, but it wasn't a north-facing slope. In this particular one is actually a west-facing slope. So something to think about there. And last question here. What's your go-to pack right now? So, with me at this very moment, I have the Kifaru Arc Frame. I have not used it really at all yet. We just, you're in winter. There's really no seasons going on. I plan to be loading it up to use it for like hauling turkey blinds around. I've always got, like, we go put out blinds and chairs. So I'm always putting kind of weird, awkward loads on packs to go out and set those things up. So I'll be doing that. I'll probably be putting a bag of corn or sand or something in them to do a little bit of spring training, you could say. of hiking. So I've got that going on. I'm excited to use that. I've been getting some questions on it, so I need to get that thing going. But this last year, I used a Stone Glacier Crux frame a lot, and I used it with the Sky 60. I think it's called the 6900 bag. It's a center zip bag, so you can undo the center and it completely splays open. Easy to pack that way. Also has 2 long pockets on the sides that zip. That's kind of a center zip as well. I really like that. And then their integrated lid is, or the way that if you don't want to use a lid, the way that their little lid comes over, or the collar comes over, I think is really good. I like their lid. It fits really tight to the top. I liked how their lid opens, I would say, kind of to the front instead of being at the back. So I really like that about it. So I've really been liking the Stone Glacier stuff. Leah has been using my EXO K4 frame a lot. She really likes that bag design. She had an EXO before we got together, and then I kind of had her over in the Kafaru train, and then with this new K4 coming out, she wanted to try that, and she's latched onto it and really likes it. So I've kind of got those 3 going on. I bought a Mystery Ranch Metcalf as well. So I haven't used it just a ton. I used it a little bit elk hunting this last year. Good pack, I think, a really good bang for your buck. It's the cheapest out of all of them that I just mentioned. Pretty good bang for your buck. I feel like that Crux frame, I feel like just the traditional Kafaru frame and that EXO handles weight a little bit better than that Mystery Ranch did. And as far as just streamlined, the Mystery Ranch with the bag and the frame stuff, it just seemed like a little clunky. But something too is like, once you get a pack, unless you're just a total gear junkie and you like switching things all the time, you get used to that bag. That is probably the best thing that you can do, is go try on bags, try on frames, pick one that fits you the best, and then just use it instead of switching things out all the time. That's one thing. I like switching things out all the time. I like being able to tell you guys about it. But in a way, when I say that something's clunky, probably just means I'm not used to it, and I'm fully aware of that. So, yeah, but that Stone Glacier Crux frame and some of those stone bags, they're just well thought out, I think. And the strap lengths, they have, auto-locking buckles in places that need it. They don't have auto-locking buckles in places that probably don't need it. Same with the EXO. I like the way they do that. Some are lockers, some aren't. Kafaru basically has all lockers. All of their straps are the same length, so there's some customizability there of being able to cut straps to the length that you want. Unless you're like me and you just don't want to cut them, because then you're afraid when you switch them over to another way that they're not going to fit. So pluses and minuses in all of it. But I really like that Stone Glacier Crux. And yeah, we're going to have more pack content coming soon as well. So that finishes out what I have for questions. I'm going to get this thing rolling. Don't forget Turkey Week over at the Meateater. You've got calls from Phelps, like this new lumbar seat situation that FHF has. You got some new products coming from First Lite, including a new pattern that I've already talked about. And what else? DSD decoys, obviously turkey decoys. Big time of year coming up for them. And they're awesome decoys. I've got a couple hens from them. And then, gosh, I think that's it. So I will talk at you guys on the next episode.